Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of Beacon Congress. I'm glad that you're able to join us again today. I hope you're all having as much of a good time with Congress as I am. Uh, there were some really fantastic talks and workshops on day 1, and we have another exciting lineup for today. This morning, though, I'd like to talk with you just a little bit about some stats about what's been going on with Beacon for the last decade. I want to give some thank yous to people who have made Beacon possible and have done all that. I also want to spend a little time introducing today's keynote speaker, Dr. Emily Weigel. Uh, and today also I just wanted to point out tonight, or not night for everyone, but after the regular program is over, the special feature is that we're going to actually do a game night. And so please go onto the virtual games channel on the Slack to get some more information there. But there's going to be all sorts of online games that people will be able to play together and chat over Zoom as you're playing. Okay, so to begin with, let's talk a little bit about some Beacon stats about this last decade. So Beacon has developed quite a reputation among the STCs. Every year at the directors meeting, we get to talk with representatives from all the current active science and technology centers. And all of the others have set up their structure such that they laid out what they're trying to do each year, and all the funds were allocated ahead of time. In Beacon, what we have done is set everything up so that every year we have this budget review process, and during the budget review process, anyone affiliated with Beacon can submit these budget requests, and the reviews are done distributedly across the Beacon membership, and we try and make these as fair as possible and cover all the different criteria that we're trying to really emphasize within Beacon. And this is how we give out the NSF money. And what this has meant is that we end up with a very large membership of people who are actually invested in Beacon. And this has worked very well for us. So Beacon is actually, as it turns out, the largest of the science and technology centers. How big is it? Well, over the 10 years, we have had 1,379 total members. So, I mean, it is huge. Very few of the other SDCs even cross 100 members. Of those, 736 are actively marked as current in the database. Now, some of these are just because we didn't remove them properly when they left, but we try and generally keep the database up to date. And of those, 440 have self-identified as participants in the SDC, which means at least 160 hours of their time every year goes to evolution and action research related to Beacon. And that's a huge membership of people who are actually engaged in the research that we're pushing as a center. All right, so there is also, not surprisingly, a huge number of Beacon alumni at all different levels. So we've recorded 36 master's students graduating, and we actually don't have a very organized system of doing this. So if people are not checking out or we're not following exactly what's going on, these numbers could be low, and they almost certainly are a little bit low, but we've had at least 36 master's students graduating out of Beacon. We've had at least 129 PhD students graduating from Beacon, of which 69 we have tracked to go on to become postdocs, and 17 have gone straight from PhD to faculty, and most of the rest ended up in industry, or else we just don't have information about what they're doing. Of the postdocs that have come through, so there have been 40 postdocs, 20 of which have gone straight on to becoming faculty afterward. Not surprisingly, with so many Beacon members, we've also been incredibly productive. So to begin with, we've had a total of 1,487 publications reported into our database. So it's a impressive number, though admittedly over 10 years. Still, that's almost 150 a year. And as far as this year goes, we haven't been pushing people yet to report all of their products. So I expect all of these numbers are actually a good bit higher than the ones I'm reporting right now. Additionally, we've had 1,759 presentations reported, and I know that number's low because everyone's terrible about reporting presentations, and 660 total proposals reported. And that's a very impressive number. But the more impressive number is that we have gotten so many of those proposals, and Beacon has been in part responsible for over $125 million in total grants received to the Beacon universities for Beacon-related projects. So as you can see, over the years, Beacon has been very productive. There's been lots of exciting Beacon products. One in which I want to point out in particular that I find particularly exciting is a recent book that has come out that titled Evolution in Action, Past, Present, and Future. And this was a festschrift in honor of Eric Goodman. And for those of you who remember the last Beacon Congress 2 years ago now, we had an extra day there where we focused on this festschrift. And we had 38 different groups of people submit publications to appear in this festschrift, and that has finally been released. And so on the bottom here, I have the URL for finding this book if you're interested in it. I'll also make sure that it's available on the Slack and probably on the at the bottom of this YouTube video. And the picture here is, of course, Eric receiving his copy of this book. And one of the reasons that the book is so exciting is it brings together all sorts of different aspects of Beacon. So it starts off with an article by Rich Lenski just chronicling the history of Beacon and how Beacon came to be, told in a very dynamic, exciting way, as only Rich is able to do. And then throughout, there are many other mix of personal accounts about Eric, as well as lots of just really, really good science research papers that I think many of you will enjoy. So that's definitely worth checking out, and it's definitely one of the products from Beacon that I'm most proud of. Now, Beacon, of course, wouldn't be possible without the heroic efforts that Eric has put in over the years. He was director of Beacon for many, many years, and he was so essential as we all worked together to found Beacon. So he's a very critical player here, but there have been so many people that have been involved in Beacon from the beginning, in addition to Eric and myself. So there are the other PIs, so Rich Lenski, Kay Holkamp, and Rob Pennick, and all three of them have been working incredibly hard over the years. We meet most weeks or many weeks to discuss recent events in Beacon, to make decisions about how to do things going forward. A number of other faculty have been critical in particular areas of Beacon. So Betty Chen has been our industrial relations person. Tom Getty has overseen some of the education and outreach initiatives. Percy Pierre, who is now retired, has overseen a lot of the diversity initiatives. And Bill Punch has overseen a lot of the computational efforts within Beacon. We also have partner leads that have done incredible work at the individual school. So Joe Graves and previously Jerry Dozier have worked at NC-A&T State University. Risto Mikalainen at UT Austin, Ben Kerr at the University of Washington, and James Foster at the University of Idaho. And all of these people have really made sure Beacon has had a presence at all of the different universities involved, and that everyone has been incredibly involved in making Beacon so successful. And then, of course, also on the Beacon Executive Committee are Danielle Whitaker and Louise Mead, our managing director and our education director, who have been, of everyone on here, probably the most essential in Beacon's success in day-to-day operations. And I just want to have a separate page just to thank the Beacon staff, where Danielle has been managing director since the beginning, and Wheezy has been the education director since the beginning of Beacon. And in both cases, they have had lots of different events going on, lots of different activities that have strengthened Beacon. Danielle goes through this heroic effort every year to pull together all of the Beacon research into the annual report. And when you read these reports, it seems like all of our research projects, so the hundreds of research projects that are going on, are just tied together seamlessly. Now, also in the Beacon staff, someone who I feel like is critical for all of the business operations is our business manager, Connie James. And she makes sure everyone gets hired. She makes sure everything financial goes on properly behind the scenes, and just keeps Beacon moving forward and running like clockwork from the administrative side. Until recently, Judy Brown Clark was our diversity director, and she has ensured that Beacon has had a world-class, like truly world-class diversity program that ensures that everyone feels included, that ensures that everyone in Beacon really values how much a diverse group of people add to a research project. And her efforts have also been incredible. And many other people have been essential to Beacon's success, some of whom I am listing here. But over the years, we've had some really good staff in Beacon that have made it a pleasure to work there, and have made us so successful. Okay, so finally for today, it is my great pleasure to introduce today's keynote speaker, Dr. Emily Weigel. So Emily received her bachelor's degree from the Georgia Institute of Technology in biology before getting a dual PhD at Michigan State University in zoology and in ecology, evolutionary biology, and behavior. I met Emily while she was at Michigan State, and we've had many really interesting conversations, she did some fascinating work here, focused on sexual selection, where she studied how social environments influence female choice and male courtship and reproductive investments made by both sexes. Because Emily also recognizes the importance of evidence-based teaching, she completed the FAST Fellowship while here, so Future Academic Scholars in Teaching, investigating how the order of teaching and learning genetics and evolution influence student understanding of key concepts. And that particular work actually was just published in the Festschrift I was talking about for Eric Goodman on evolution in action. So yet one more great thing in that book. After MSU, Emily went on to become an NSF Cure postdoctoral fellow in the Department of Biology at Spelman College, working on horizontal gene transfer among organisms with similar ecologies but different evolutionary histories. Emily is now an academic professional in the School of Biology Sciences back at the Georgia Institute of Technology, her alma mater in Atlanta, Georgia. She's focusing on other pedagogical research, in particular how classroom strategies and environments impact student learning. So please, everyone, join me in welcoming Emily today to talk about Do You See What I See? Teaching and Assessing with Visuals. So welcome, Emily, and welcome everyone else. I hope you all have a fantastic day here at Beacon Congress.